Okay, this is screencast number 9 of Homeostasis, section 6.6. This would be this screencast, short one, on the parts and functions of the female reproductive system. Okay, and this is surrounding a skill that, again, like the male, you need to annotate the female reproductive system, a diagram of the reproductive system, not draw. And annotate, again, means parts, label parts, and add notes for its functions. So we'll do the parts and functions here. First, let's annotate. Go to the smartboard. Bring up the smartboard. We're going to take a look at 2 versions of the female reproductive system, just so that you're aware of which you can be asked here. All right, but we're going to label this diagram here. So the female reproductive system includes all of the organs responsible for the production of an egg, as indicated on the right ovary, which will go first. Here, this way you can see this one shows an egg in its various states. So the ovary, of course, is the area where, you might remember the word from earlier in the year, where the oocytes mature prior to ovulation. So where the egg matures prior to ovulation. And it's also responsible for the major production of estrogen and progesterone. And those hormones will be coming up in a couple of minutes. Okay, so if we follow the pathway for an egg, whether or not it is fertilized, you've got your fallopian tube. It's here. Okay, another name for fallopian tube is oviduct. Now, one will notice these hair-like extensions, because one thing you should know is that the oviduct itself, the tube itself, and the ovary are not attached to each other. With hormonal changes, every month you have a swelling of an egg. The hair-like or finger-like projections, more likely, that you see at the end, that you see at the end of the fallopian tubes are called the fimbriae or fimbria, if you're talking about just one of them. And so as the egg swells every month, the fimbria brush against the ovary, and that ovulated egg gets swept into the oviduct, which it travels down and into the uterus, which I labeled up here. The uterus, again, is really a muscle. So it's an organ where the fertilized egg will implant, develop, become an embryo, then a fetus, so forth and so on there. The innermost lining of that uterus, the inner lining of the uterus is called the endometrium. All right, so the mucous membrane lining of the uterus, which thickens in preparation for implantation. Otherwise, it's lost through the menstrual cycle. Okay, the opening to the uterus, which is generally plugged during pregnancy, is called the cervix. So you see the cervix right there is the opening. And of course, the passage leading to the uterus, by which, among other things, the penis can enter, and by which the fetus then is delivered from, is called the uterus. So 4 or 5 parts. Let's go back to the PowerPoint just momentarily. Just take a look at the notes and the other pictures of what we have here for her. Oops. There you go. Uterine lining, uterine cavity, parts and functions. So we get them all up there. Oops, excuse me. So you'll notice that I called fallopian tube and oviduct. Either is acceptable from IB. All right. And under uterus, you should also have a definition and understand, because it is IB testable. So I should actually have put that in, and I will for endometrium. Again, the mucous membrane lining of the uterus, which thickens in preparation or is otherwise lost through the menstrual cycle. You have another picture here coming up, which is going to show you, again, the frontal version of that. And remember the whole area there. You have your urinary bladder in front of the vagina. So the urethra, the vagina, all in the localized area there. And of course, back, you have the standard rectum back there. All right. So let's leave there. I want to go back to the picture one more time, just so that you can see the front. Oops, let's go to the front. No, do I have a front here? Excuse me. Just so that you can see, excuse me, the side. We looked at the front, silly. All right, just so that you can see the side view again. So all for yourself, you have a pubic bone here, you have the urinary bladder and urethra, and there you have the vagina, cervix, uterus, fallopian tube, side view. Okay, so this is the end